Perhaps a little background information is in order. In 1882, Jacob and Maria Annala, along with their 12-year-old son Zachary, set sail from Finland for America. Their sons Jacob and John Jay had preceded them. Their journey took them to Liverpool, England, and then across the Atlantic to Boston, Massachusetts. From Boston, they traveled west by train, stopping in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where a fast-talking land agent steered them to Frederick, South Dakota. No paradise. Homesteading on 160 acres that eventually cost them $1.25 per acre, they immediately built a sod house as lumber was in short supply. Plowing was also a necessity. At one time, over 20 million bison roamed the Great Prairies. Hunters decimated the herds, and bones littered the prairie. Zach and his father earned extra money picking up these bones, for which they were paid $2 per ton. Summers brought endless days of heat, with temperatures often exceeding 120 degrees. Swarms of grasshoppers that could quickly destroy a farmer's crops, plus periods of drought, rainstorms, and tornadoes tormented the settlers. Prairie winters could be beautiful, but devastating. During the winter of 1886, horses and cattle died when their breath froze over the ends of their noses, making it impossible for them to breathe. In his late teens, Zach boarded a train and followed his brothers Jacob and John to mine coal in Carbon, Wyoming. Carbon was one of the first coal mining towns in south-central Wyoming. It flourished as a coal source for the Union Pacific trains crossing the Great Divide. When the coal petered out, the town died. Zach moved north to Red Lodge, Montana, a mining town nestled at the foot of the Beartooth Mountains, where a number of Finnish immigrants had settled. Here Zach mined for coal and worked on a nearby ranch. It was here that he courted my grandmother, Hilma Jämsä. At age 10, Hilma had emigrated from Finland through the port of New York with her 3 sisters and mother in 1884. They joined their father, Zacharias Jämsä, in Frederick, South Dakota. He had preceded them by 2 years and had been on the same boat from Finland as Zachary and his parents. When Hilma was 15, she headed west to Carbon, Wyoming, where she worked in a boarding house. For $2 a month, she cooked, cleaned, and washed for 10 miners. This included the lunch they took to the mine. Hilma soon moved to Red Lodge, Montana, and worked at a boarding house run by her married older sister, Anna Hanahan. As she had done in Carbon, Wyoming, Hilma washed, cleaned, and cooked for a number of Finnish miners. Meanwhile, Zachary worked at a ranch outside of Red Lodge. He was musically inclined and taught himself to read music and play the fiddle. The Red Lodge Finnish Temperance Hall provided a place for Zachary to practice while playing for dances. Zach and Hilma started courting when she was 17 and he 20. Their romance blossomed and grew until, in 1892, they moved back to Frederick, South Dakota, where they were married at the Annala homestead. They quickly settled in with Zach's parents and began farming, Zach in the fields and Hilma in the house. Toivo, their first child, soon arrived. Sadly, Zach's father, Jacob, had passed away in 1894 at age 68. A second child, my father, Arvi, was born in July 1895. When Arvi was only 2 weeks old, the Annala family and several neighbors began a move to new homesteads in Nelson County, North Dakota, near the towns of Brockett and Lakota. On a bright July day, their caravan of 6 covered wagons began the week-long trek. All went well except for a 1-day delay because of rain. Please note that today it only takes about 3 hours to cover that same distance. Shortly after the move, a roaring fire swept across the prairie toward them. Zach barely had time to harness the horses and plow furrows around the buildings. While the women fought the fire with water buckets and wet sacks, Zach chased the horses off ahead of the flames. They were found the next day, singed but unharmed, 6 miles away at a neighbor's farm. Steam and gasoline-powered tractors began to make farming a bit easier. This family portrait of the growing Annala family was taken in early 1902. The Annala children all attended the Cleveland School in nearby Brockett. In 1908, Zachary and his 11-year-old son Otto trained west in search of rich farmland they heard was available in Oregon. They zeroed in on a rich, fertile valley that nestled on the north side of majestic Mount Hood. In 1909, Zachary and Hilma and their 7 children made the move from North Dakota to become fruit growers in the Hood River Valley.